What is it about Sigma males that leaves others feeling unsettled? Sure, their independence, quiet confidence, and unpredictability are well known, but there's one trait often ignored and grossly underestimated that strikes a deeper chord of fear in people. It's not flashy or obvious, but it has the power to completely change how people perceive and interact with a Sigma. In this video, we're uncovering the most overlooked Sigma trait that not only sets them apart, but sends a chill down the spine of anyone who encounters it. Buckle up, because once you see it, you'll never look at Sigmas the same way again. 1. The ability to disappear. There's something almost otherworldly about the Sigma male's ability to vanish, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. Unlike the common act of ghosting, which is often driven by avoidance or irresponsibility, a Sigma's decision to disappear is deliberate, calculated, and deeply rooted in their nature. To a Sigma, detachment isn't a weakness or an escape. It's a tool, a way to reset, realign, and protect their independence in a world that constantly demands connection. This ability often comes into play when a Sigma senses imbalance or toxicity in their environment. It could be a suffocating relationship, a draining social circle, or even a career that no longer serves their sense of purpose. Rather than endure these situations out of obligation or fear of judgment, a Sigma will simply step away. Sometimes this withdrawal is physical. They'll relocate, cut ties, or start over elsewhere without a second thought. Other times it's subtler yet equally impactful. They might emotionally withdraw, becoming distant and unreadable, or mentally retreat into their own world, leaving others feeling like they've lost touch with the person they thought they knew. What makes this trait so unsettling is its unpredictability. Sigmas don't announce their intentions or leave a trail of breadcrumbs. They slip away quietly, often without a confrontation or farewell. For those who depend on constant interaction, this can feel like abandonment, even betrayal. But for the Sigma, it's simply an act of self-preservation. They don't need to explain themselves or seek permission to prioritize their own growth and peace of mind. This ability to disappear goes beyond the physical act of leaving. It's a mindset, a refusal to be tethered to anything or anyone that hinders their freedom. And while this trait may cause discomfort or confusion for those left behind, it's one of the Sigma's most powerful tools. By stepping away from what no longer serves them, they create space for new opportunities, deeper self-discovery, and unshakable independence. For many, this trait is a reminder of their own fears and dependencies. A Sigma's departure forces others to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves, their reliance on external validation, their need for control, and their inability to let go. In the end, the Sigma's ability to disappear isn't just about leaving, it's about transcending. 2. The way they're impossible to box in. If there's one thing that defines a Sigma male, it's their defiance of categorization. In a world obsessed with labels and hierarchies, alpha, beta, leader, follower Sigmas stand apart as enigmas. They reject the very notion of being boxed in by societal expectations, refusing to conform to predefined roles or stereotypes. To try and label a Sigma is to misunderstand them entirely, for they live by their own rules, guided only by an internal sense of purpose and identity. This resistance to being categorized isn't an act of rebellion or arrogance. Sigmas aren't trying to be different for the sake of it. Instead, it stems from a profound understanding of themselves and the world around them. They see labels for what they truly are: constraints designed to simplify complex individuals into digestible stereotypes. And for a Sigma, such constraints are suffocating. This defiance manifests in every aspect of their lives. Professionally, they might reject the traditional 9-to-5 grind in favor of pursuing unconventional careers or entrepreneurial ventures that align with their passions. Socially, they avoid cliques or groups that demand conformity, choosing instead to forge meaningful one-on-one connections. Even in their personal lives, they don't adhere to conventional norms of relationships or success. Though Sigma might walk away from a high-paying job, a long-term relationship, or a seemingly perfect opportunity if it doesn't align with their deeper values. For those who rely on labels to navigate the world, this unpredictability can be deeply unsettling. People often feel the need to categorize others as a way of understanding and controlling their environment. When faced with a Sigma who refuses to be pinned down, they're left feeling uneasy, even threatened. The Sigma's existence challenges the very foundation of their worldview. What's truly remarkable is how naturally this trait comes to Sigmas. They don't set out to defy expectations or shock others. It's simply who they are. Their identity is fluid and self-defined, constantly evolving as they grow and learn. They understand that life isn't a one-size-fits-all journey, and they refuse to live according to someone else's script. This trait often inspires a mix of admiration and fear. On one hand, Sigmas are seen as trailblazers, carving their own paths and living authentically. On the other, their unpredictability and refusal to conform can make them seem untouchable, even intimidating. To those around them, a Sigma's resistance to being boxed in is a reminder that freedom comes with challenges, that stepping outside of societal norms requires courage, self-awareness, and an unwavering commitment to one's values. In the end, this trait is both a gift and a mystery. It sets Sigmas apart, making them impossible to predict and even harder to control. But for the Sigma, that's exactly how it should be. They don't seek to fit in. They seek to stand apart, living life on their own terms and inspiring others to question the limitations they've placed on themselves. 3. Their comfort with being the villain in someone's story. For most people, being labeled the bad guy is a nightmare. It stirs an innate need for validation and acceptance, a craving to be seen as likable, kind, or at the very least misunderstood. But for a Sigma male, being cast as the villain in someone's narrative doesn't inspire sleepless nights or frantic attempts to explain themselves. In fact, they embrace it with a calm indifference that unnerves those around them. Sigmas understand a fundamental truth that escapes many. You can't control how others perceive you. Whether it's a result of miscommunication, jealousy, or differing values, they recognize that someone's opinion of them often says more about that person than it does about who they truly are. Instead of wasting energy trying to alter perceptions or mend fractured reputations, they simply accept the role they've been given and move on. This ability to let go of others' judgments is a power move that leaves many people unsettled. In a society that thrives on approval and social currency, Sigma's refusal to play the game feels alien, even threatening. For them, being disliked isn't a failure, it's a neutral fact of life. They don't seek validation, nor do they fear condemnation. This detachment allows them to operate freely, unburdened by the weight of public opinion or the expectations of others. Their comfort with being the villain stems from their deep self-assurance. Sigmas trust their own moral compass and are confident in their decisions. They don't feel the need to justify their actions to appease others. This trait can be especially disconcerting to those who rely on guilt or manipulation to influence others. When these tactics fail to move a Sigma, it's like hitting a brick wall. To some, their indifference may come across as cold or arrogant, but to a Sigma, it's simply a matter of prioritizing what truly matters. They'd rather focus on their goals and principles than engage in futile attempts to change how others see them. This approach not only protects their peace of mind, but also ensures they remain true to themselves, no matter what role they've been cast in by others. For an uncanny patience for revenge, if there's one thing you should never underestimate about a Sigma male, it's their ability to wait. While others are quick to react in the heat of the moment, letting anger cloud their judgment, Sigmas take a different approach. They rarely lash out impulsively or allow emotions to dictate their actions. Instead, they channel their energy into something far more calculated and unnerving: patience. When wronged, a Sigma doesn't waste time throwing a tantrum or seeking immediate retribution. Instead, they step back, analyze the situation, and wait. This isn't the patience of someone who has forgotten the slight or moved on. It's the patience of someone meticulously planning their next move. Their revenge, when it comes, is not just an act of retaliation. It's a masterpiece of precision and timing. What makes this trait so disarming is its unpredictability. Unlike those who wear their emotions on their sleeves, Sigmas are masters of self-control. They can appear calm, even detached, while internally mapping out the perfect strategy to settle the score. Their revenge isn't just about getting even, it's about ensuring the lesson is remembered. And here's where it gets truly chilling. Sigmas are in no rush. They're willing to wait days, months, or even years for the right moment to strike. This delayed response often leaves their adversaries walking on eggshells, constantly wondering if and when the reckoning will come. The psychological toll of this waiting game can be far more devastating than the act of revenge itself. But don't mistake this patience for pettiness. Sigmas don't seek revenge over trivial matters or fleeting insults. Their response is reserved for genuine betrayals or injustices that threaten their principles or peace of mind. When they do decide to act, it's not out of malice but out of a desire to restore balance and assert boundaries. This ability to bide their time and strike with precision is a testament to their self-discipline and strategic thinking. It's what makes them both respected and feared. Sigmas don't just react, they calculate. And when they finally make their move, it's often when their adversary least expects it, amplifying the impact and ensuring the message is heard loud and clear. 5. Their invisibility in crowds. Sigmas possess an almost supernatural ability to disappear into the background, even in the most bustling of environments. Unlike alphas who naturally draw attention, or betas who may gravitate toward group dynamics for validation, sigmas move through crowds with an understated presence that makes them both inconspicuous and intriguing. This chameleon-like ability to blend into any setting isn't a lack of confidence, it's a deliberate choice. To a sigma, the art of remaining unnoticed is a strategic advantage. When they choose to observe rather than participate, they gain an unparalleled understanding of their surroundings. This isn't idle people-watching, it's an active process of reading body language, assessing dynamics, and quietly absorbing information. In social situations, where most people compete for attention or affirmation, a sigma's quiet detachment sets them apart. Their presence is subtle, yet their awareness of the room is profound. What makes this trait unnerving is its unpredictability. Someone who blends in so effortlessly can be hard to track or predict. They don't leave a trail of boastful stories or memorable antics. Instead, they quietly gather insights and retreat before anyone even realizes they were there. This quality can disarm even the most confident individuals, especially those who are used to commanding attention or dominating social spaces. A sigma's ability to stay under the radar forces others to question their own assumptions about power and influence. For some, this invisibility feels threatening. How do you engage with someone who seems to know everything about the room, but reveals so little about themselves? How do you measure influence when it isn't loud or obvious? These are the questions a sigma's quiet presence provokes. But this invisibility isn't about shyness or avoidance, it's about choice. Sigmas step into the spotlight only when it serves their purpose, and when they do, their impact is amplified because it's unexpected. They've already observed, strategized, and positioned themselves for maximum effect. Their ability to vanish into the crowd isn't a weakness. It's a testament to their mastery of self-control and situational awareness. 6. A no-strings-attached approach to relationships. When it comes to relationships, sigmas defy conventional norms. They don't cling, demand, or seek to control. Instead, they take a no-strings-attached approach that values freedom, mutual respect, and individuality above all else. While this can feel liberating to some, it can also be deeply unsettling to those accustomed to more codependent dynamics. A relationship with a sigma is marked by a striking paradox. They value you deeply but don't need you to complete them. This lack of dependence can feel like a breath of fresh air for those who crave personal space and autonomy. However, for individuals who are used to relationships where emotions are tightly intertwined and boundaries often blur, a sigma's independence can feel like a test. This dynamic isn't about emotional detachment, it's about perspective. Sigmas understand that true connection isn't about ownership or control. It's about allowing two individuals to grow side by side without losing their sense of self. They don't smother or manipulate, nor do they expect constant reassurance. Instead, they offer a rare kind of partnership, one where freedom and trust are the cornerstones. However, this approach can be intimidating to some. Many people equate love with neediness, believing that being indispensable to someone else is the ultimate proof of their worth. A sigma challenges this belief by showing that they can care deeply without being reliant. They value you for who you are, not for what you can provide. This can be both empowering and unsettling, especially for those who derive their self-worth from being needed. For sigmas, the concept of no strings attached doesn't mean emotional distance or lack of commitment. It means building relationships where both parties feel free to be themselves without fear of judgment or control. They don't want to change you or bind you. They want to see you flourish just as they strive to do themselves. In the end, a relationship with a sigma is a unique experience, one that encourages growth, self-discovery, and independence. But it also forces people to confront their own insecurities and dependencies. The idea of being valued but not needed can be a tough pill to swallow for those who equate love with possession. For the sigma, however, this is the only kind of connection worth pursuing. One built on freedom, mutual respect, and the ability to stand strong as individuals while thriving together. 7. A comfort with their own darkness. One of the most misunderstood yet fascinating traits of a sigma male is their profound comfort with their own darkness. Unlike most people, who avoid their flaws, fears, and unsettling emotions, sigmas confront these parts of themselves head-on. They don't shy away from their imperfections or bury their doubts in distractions. Instead, they dive deep, exploring the shadowy corners of their psyche with curiosity and acceptance. This self-awareness stems from their relentless pursuit of authenticity. Sigmas understand that no one is purely good or bad, and to deny the darker aspects of their personality would be to deny a fundamental part of their humanity. Rather than running from their flaws, they learn from them, using their mistakes, insecurities, and fears as tools for growth. For instance, if they find themselves jealous, angry, or insecure, they don't lash out or suppress those feelings. Instead, they ask themselves why they feel that way, uncovering the root cause and transforming it into a lesson or strength. This trait can be deeply unsettling to others. In a world where many people hide behind facades of perfection or optimism, Sigmas stand out as unflinchingly real. Their willingness to face their own darkness forces others to confront a truth they often avoid, that we all have parts of ourselves we'd rather not face. For those who avoid their own inner shadows, a Sigma's self-acceptance can feel like a challenge, a reminder that they're not living as authentically as they could. But this comfort with their own darkness isn't just about introspection. It also gives Sigmas a unique resilience. They aren't easily shaken by failure, criticism, or adversity because they've already faced their worst fears internally. They know what they're capable of, both good and bad, and that awareness gives them an unshakable confidence. This quiet strength can be intimidating, especially to those who rely on external validation or live in fear of their own imperfections. Ultimately, Sigmas remind us that true strength comes from embracing all parts of ourselves, the light and the dark. Their comfort with their own darkness isn't just a personal trait, it's a philosophy, a way of living authentically in a world that often demands we hide who we truly are. 8. Their resistance to guilt manipulation. Emotional manipulation is a common tool in social dynamics, and guilt is often the weapon of choice. Whether it's a friend guilting someone into doing a favor, a partner trying to control a relationship, or a boss pressuring an employee into extra work, guilt can be a powerful motivator. But not for the Sigma male. When it comes to guilt manipulation, Sigmas are entirely resistant immune, even and this trait frustrates and intimidates those who rely on such tactics. Sigmas have a keen sense of emotional awareness, both of themselves and others. They recognize when someone is trying to use guilt to sway their decisions, and they refuse to play along. This isn't because they lack empathy. In fact, Sigmas often possess a deep understanding of others' emotions, but they also have a strong sense of boundaries and an unwavering commitment to their own values. They won't allow themselves to be coerced into actions that go against their principles, no matter how much guilt is thrown their way. What makes this resistance so effective is the Sigma's calm and calculated approach. They don't respond to guilt trips with anger or defensiveness, which might escalate the situation. Instead, they simply refuse to engage. They see through the emotional ploys, dissecting them for what they are. Attempts at control and politely but firmly stand their ground. This unshakable resistance often leaves manipulators feeling powerless. People who rely on guilt as a tool of persuasion are accustomed to it working, and when they encounter a Sigma, they're met with an immovable wall. This lack of response can be infuriating and even intimidating. It forces the manipulator to confront the futility of their tactics and, in many cases, their own insecurities. Sigma's resistance to guilt manipulation also stems from their deep sense of self-respect. They know their worth and refuse to compromise it for the sake of appeasing others. They understand that genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and honesty, not coercion or emotional games. By standing firm, they not only protect their own autonomy, but also challenge others to engage with them on equal footing. For those around them, this trait can be both inspiring and unnerving. On one hand, it showcases the power of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. On the other, it reveals how often guilt is used as a shortcut for communication or compromise. Sigmas, with their unwavering resistance, remind us all to question our motives and approach relationships with integrity rather than manipulation.